And research shows that a bad situation is much worse in terms of stress and what the stress will do to your brain. It's much worse if you have no control. And so any bit of control that you can get is huge in terms of reducing the stress. So my father had very little control over his situation, but again, like Viktor Frankl said, he did have control over what was going on in here. Now, my father will tell you in terms of positive emotion that he didn't laugh once the entire time he was in the camp, which if you know my dad, you would know that would be the one year where he didn't do, a lot of laughing, because he's very humorous and fun and upbeat and stuff. But while he got social support and they kept each other's spirits up, there wasn't laughing or joking. Now, my aunts had a slightly different situation. They were working in a munitions factory for a good part of the year, and it was horrible, and they were in a camp, and they were getting bombed nearby constantly, and so it was very, very scary. They weren't doing the hard physical labor that my father was doing, and people weren't dying all around them, except the one time that they got caught in an Allied bombing. That's my Aunt Lily on the left and my Aunt Ollie, my dad's sisters. And this is actually a picture taken at Liberation. So some American soldiers got them some clothes, and they decided, one of them had a camera, and they decided that one of them should change and the other should stay in the uniform, and they should get a picture. So this is Ollie before she's changing, and Lily in her first time wearing regular clothes, and lipstick and all of these things. They were in a camp where the women were very close-knit. They had a lot of humor, and my aunts got papers from the labels that went on the boxes in the munitions factory. They got paper and sewed themselves little diaries. And they started writing poems and little columns and created a newsletter. And they got other women to join in. Of course, there was no publishing the newsletter, but on a Sunday, they would go and around to the different barracks, and they would read it. And these things had these very funny columns. We still have them now. Very funny columns like, "It's spring, ladies, so let's think about spring fashion. We hear that gray is in, and so is stripes." And they did actually tailor their uniforms. And you can see my aunt had this little belt, and that she made that little cap out of the hem of her skirt and things like that. So the women were actually on Sundays trying to make their uniforms look a little nicer. And so they had all these fashion tips, and then they had menu for next week. Water with potatoes on Monday, on Tuesday, potatoes with water, and, went through the whole thing. So, it's a terrible situation. They're missing home terribly. They don't know if their relatives are alive or not. They had lost some friends in this bombing. But they found these opportunities for laughing at their situation.